All right, guys, we are live. We are live with Mr. Gavin Duncan. So he's the club director of Brigg Town FC. So he's with us, and I'll bring him right now. And I'm super excited for this conversation. We get to know a lot about the club. It's one of the oldest club in the history. And before we begin, like and subscribe, and I'll see you back with him in a few seconds. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the Sports Frequency podcast. I'm so excited and also proud at the same moment to have you here. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, and finally you're here. So it means a lot. It means a lot, sir.
Thank you, and yeah, thanks for having us on. It's yeah, strange one really. Didn't think that the pull of Brigg Town would be as international as it is, but yeah, we're racking up the countries where people follow us. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, sir. Being the club director of one of the oldest clubs in UK and also in the world, it's such a big deal, at least for fans like me. It's an honor as well. So, sir, how is everything back at home? You're doing good, and how's the football there at the moment?
Yeah, so things in the UK are good. The weather is typical, raining today. So yeah, it's we're starting to sort of make our way out of lockdown, which is welcomed. It's been a long time. Obviously, football at the moment is paused at our level. Clearly, Premier League and league football is continuing, but our level is paused at the moment. There's a few local competitions happening as we speak, but we've decided to not enter those at the moment. So yeah, just trying to get everything ready for what we hope, fingers crossed, will be a full season of football in what 2-3 years. So
All right, so talk about your experience and your experience with the club. So, how were you introduced to this club? Like, what was the first day when you got to know about this club and then got involved?
so I moved to the town of Brigg sort of 20 years ago, and I I'll be honest, I've never really heard of Brigg Town until I got here. And then yeah, I realised that we had a good level non-league side on the doorstep. Like anyone, went to watch a few games now and again. Enjoyed sort of non-league football, and yeah, then you start to hear about the history and how old it is, and the successes that it had previously in the past. And yeah, and then the last time I went was as a fan, I guess, sort of unrelated, was March 2017. I took my two daughters. We went to watch a game. I sat in the stands. The rain was pouring through the roof. I paid £1 for a program, which was basically an A4 bit of paper, and the main sort of article was how they'd had the electric cut off and how they were struggling for money, and it just felt a bit sad, really. So I remember coming away from the game thinking, it's a real shame that somebody's not got hold of it and got hold of the real potential that it had. I was coaching the girls' side at the time, under 12s, I think it was, which my daughter played for. And Jim Huxford, who's one of the other directors, was involved in that as well. And we knew each other anyway. And anyway, long story short, Jim was approached by the previous owners if he would be interested in taking over the club, something he didn't want to do on his own. And he asked a few of us to get involved. And, he asked me if I'd help. I stupidly said yes. And that was it. I haven't looked back. I think when somebody asks you to get involved with, a football club of the potential that it has and still has, I think it's difficult to say no. I think I'm a football fan. I didn't want to see the club go into administration, which it was going to. It was a couple of days away from being boarded up for good. And you're talking about one of the oldest football clubs in the world, so you can't say no. So that was really how I got involved, and I've loved it ever since. Didn't have as much grey hair then, and that was it. But yeah, it's certainly good fun and keeps me busy.
Uh, of course, the gray hair also proves the amount of like wisdom and experience a person has. So that's good. I really like that. Uh, as you said that it's one of the oldest clubs, and like the passion there is like huge. There's a lot of passion going on at the moment. But I would like to ask you this question: what does football mean to you and the people at Brig? What is football for them?
I think certainly in terms of Brig, it's a community club. So the one thing we wanted to do differently from the previous regime, which was a members club, you had to kind of pay to be a member of it. We wanted it to be inclusive for everyone. So we set it up as what we call a community interest club, which is where the CIC element comes in. And what that means is basically that any money that goes into the club is reinvested back into it. So as directors, we can't take huge sums of money out, not that there are already. But ultimately every pound, shilling and pence that comes through the gate, through the bar, wherever it is reinvested back into it. And that's not for us, that's for the people of Brig, for the community. So I think what we've seen, certainly over the last 3 years that we've been there, is the club's on a journey, and we're slowly building each year. It's the usual, get the foundations in place and then progress. And what we found is that the community are actually coming on that journey with us. So what does football mean for the people of Brig? They're football mad in Brig. We get really good crowds. We get some of the bigger crowds in our division. If you look at the level that we play across the UK, we're usually in the top 10 for attendances. And we want to build on that. And I think, we are thinking of ways that we can improve the match day experience for supporters. But overall, for the people of Brig, they're just football mad. And, they would watch, somebody in the park just doing keepy uppies for an hour if there was no other football on. So, but yeah, I think that, it's a community club, and that's really important to us as directors, that we maintain that.
Okay, brilliant, sir. The community engagement that you talk about in Brig is really amazing, because it's kind of similar in a place that I live, so could relate to it. It's like in West Bengal in India, it's like kind of the same, if not like almost the same. So it's brilliant, sir. It also feels good when a community comes together just to promote and like to love this game, to help this game out. So it's brilliant. Uh, what would be a typical day in the life of a director, like you, not as a fan, because it will be different, but as a director, what are the struggles, what are the aspects of a day for you?
Oh, it could be anything. It could be anything from speaking to sponsors, speaking to people like yourself, to sort of meeting around sort of the bar area, sort of cutting the pitch, painting walls, anything really. It's all hands to the pump. And I think, as a director, all of us, we work well together as a team of directors, if you want to call it that. You're constantly speaking to each other. You're speaking to the football staff. You're talking to the volunteers who help out each and every day around the club. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. There's probably 3 or 4 people that have volunteered at the club for many years, and grounds people and doing photography and raising sponsorship and things like that. They're the heartbeat of the club. So it's just making sure, really, as a team of directors, that we've got an idea of where the club's heading. So we're creating that strategy of what it is that we want to achieve year on year. But also making sure that what's happening right now, the people that are important, i.e. the supporters and the volunteers, are being looked after. So yeah, you have to wear many different hats and spin many different plates. But yeah, it certainly tests every skill that you've got.
So it's like you have to do multitasking at like all times. So you can't just focus on one particular thing at once. It's like multiple things that you have to keep in mind at the same time while you're like doing your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that you could be watching you could be at a game, for example. You're trying to watch the game, and you're making sure that all the supporters are having a good time, and making sure, certainly at this time of year, over the last year, everything's COVID safe. So obviously coronavirus has given us a lot more to do than we would normally have to do. We have a bar area, we have a function room, we have obviously the stadium that we have to make sure is COVID secure. So yeah, it's been harder this last year, but and also it's been easier as well, because we haven't been open, we haven't been playing matches, so it's given us as a group of directors time to pause, reflect, think about what it is that we do actually want to do next. What are the most important things on our pad that we want to land? So yeah, as much as it's been tough the last year, it's certainly been a little bit easier in some respects.
Okay, so this COVID situation has some pros and has some cons, but then you guys took advantage of the pros of it. So you got some time, you got some time to plan out what the future of the club is, what the roadmap of the club is, how you plan to develop it, if I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the model that we've chosen at the club is that it needs to be self-sustaining. So we've been in a situation where we've been very fortunate. We've had some grants come our way, whether that be from the local authority or from the Football Association or whatever. But we weren't in a situation prior to lockdown or COVID where we were on the edge in terms of financials. We were doing well, and I think it's a testimony to everybody that's at the club now have worked really hard to get us into that position. So I think one thing I will say is that every time we've reinvested £1 back into the community, they've accepted it and supported us. So it's that we're in a nice little cycle where we invest in the community, they then support us, and then so on and so forth. So as a town, we're growing, I guess. But I think the COVID situation financially has obviously affected us, but we all did a great job at the club of getting us in a real strong position prior to it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other clubs that weren't in that situation, and my heart goes out to them. But it sounds selfish, but unfortunately, we have to worry about us. But I think everybody at the club's done a great job.
Absolutely. So this COVID situation, like when it started off, like when all the virus started spreading, things started closing down. How did you deal with that? Like at the initial stages of COVID, like as time passed away, everybody started adapting. But when it started off right off the bat, how did you deal with it? Like how did the club uh, mold to it or adapt to it?
I think it was very fluid. I think I don't think anybody really, if we're honest, probably thought it would get as bad as what it would get. I think we started pre-season last year with Sir Lee Thompson and Simon Roach were here as a management team. We started the pre-season. It was obviously very different. We couldn't use the dugouts, for example. We had to sit in the stand, and it was a lot of couldn't use changing rooms for team talks and stuff. So we had to adapt the best we could. I think then obviously we had the first lockdown, football paused, then it was back again, then it wasn't, then it was, then it wasn't, and it just felt like that all the way through. We had a management change through lockdown, and that's been difficult for obviously the new manager coming in. He hasn't had a real go at it for the first sort of 10, 11 games of the season. So yeah, it's frustrating, I think, is probably the best way of putting it. We made a management change for a reason, to take us to the next level, I guess. And it's been frustrating for the club as well as the management team that they couldn't really get going. So we adapted the best we could, the same as everybody. I think all the local teams in the area together, and sort of we got friendlies on when we could, and we wanted A, the footballers to play, B, we wanted to put a game of football on for supporters, because football is a great mechanic for people to talk to one another, to just get out the house. For example, we have some they won't mind me saying it, we have a group of elderly supporters who come watch us every week, and they're fantastic, and they have done for many years. Ray, I think, has been supporting us for 50, 60 years, bless him. These guys don't really have much else apart from Brigg Town, a lot of them. So for them to come and watch a game of football is a real big deal for them. And if you think about mental health and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
for us to get a game of football on is more than just 22 lads kicking a ball around. It means so much more for some people. So yeah, we were conscious of that, but obviously we had to do it safely, and make sure that all the players were safe, the staff were safe, and that was it. But been frustrating. We've learned a lot. We've learned a hell of a lot, and I think we will probably operate slightly different off the back of it.
Absolutely. So it like I'm trying to listen to you and like understand how the football culture is like there. So it's like it's fair to say it's the heartbeat of the place. I think it's fair to say that, because as you said, the elderly persons, people come in, many people turn up for the games, and it's such an important thing, and such it's a part of the culture there as well. So it's brilliant. It's a brilliant thing to have in a community. uh, I would like to show you something, just for it's a request as well. uh, do you have anything to say about this lad out here? He's a big fan of your club. He keeps sending me pictures, and he's a really great guy as well. So how did you come across Rohan?
To be honest, it was Jim Huxford, who's a fellow director, that I think he reached out to Jim originally. I think he's a fan of football shirts in general, so asked if we would send a shirt, which we sent. Obviously, the black and white stripes is our home shirt. Not sure where we picked that dodgy pink one from. I think that was a goalkeeper. But yeah, it's fantastic. We've got lots of international supporters, I would say, scattered all over. So I think it's great. He's very keen. He's done stuff for us before in terms of social media things and bits and bobs. So yeah, it's brilliant. And hopefully yourself and Rowan can get over and watch it go.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Absolutely, sir. Uh, so I would like to know a very, like, it's kind of a serious and also a very important aspect of the game in general. It's a sponsorship part of the game. Like in Premier League, in UEFA Champions League, Europa League, the sponsorship is on a different league, on a different level. What is it? What is it like at your division? How's the club
Um,
sponsorship work?
it's everything. It's everything. Without our sponsor, we don't function. It's that simple. We so as a group of directors, through what we do work-wise, etc., we're pretty well connected with some larger corporations and larger companies. We could probably hit our sponsorship targets, if you like, just by picking up the phone 10, 12 times. But that wasn't what we wanted to do at Brigg, because we want it to be a community club. We decided that we would stay local with our sponsorship. So we would speak to local companies and try and keep it basically where you've got, your local builder or builder's merchant, is a sponsor, instead of using a big multinational who could, probably sponsors 10 other teams. So we wanted it to be independent. We wanted it to be exclusive to the people of Brigg. So, and it means a bit more, if I see a board that's a local sponsor, I'm more likely to use them. But it's a nice little feeling, isn't it? You think, oh, that's great. I like them because they sponsor this team, and do you know what I mean? It's that community feel, and so yeah, to answer the question, it is everything. Without sponsorship, we don't survive. And we have a bar, which obviously brings in revenue, but that will probably help us as a business wash our own face. The rest of it, the improving the infrastructure, buying kit, whatever it is all through sponsorship. So we thank every single one that's sponsored us over the 3 or 4 years we've been here. The sponsors, I have to say, have been fantastic throughout coronavirus. Obviously, we're using more local businesses, some small, some large, but they've all been affected by this pandemic, and all their profits would have been hit hard. But they've all honoured the pledge that they gave. They've all come through with their sponsorship money, which has helped us survive. So we can never be too grateful for what our sponsors do for us.
That's one of the best things to have, local sponsors. They connect with the club. They carry the same philosophy as the club. They love the club as their own, and for that reason, they are willing to go the extra mile to help the club out. So that's what they're doing. So it's a brilliant gesture from their side as well to help this club out, even when they themselves are in a very tough situation. Who all people are in this current scenario in the world. So it's basically the club is heavily built on community. So talking about communities, how did you get into the international community of football? How were you introduced to football, as a child, as a youngster?
Just played the game. So I honestly can't remember kicking a ball when I was a kid, and it kind of went from there. And I've always been in and around football. I've always loved the game. I played golf badly. I've played other sports, but football's always been sort of my number one passion, I guess. It's definitely a football household. My other, one side of my heart is Brigg Town. The other side is West Ham, who are having a good season. So I'm happy about that.
Absolutely.
For once. But we're definitely a football family. I've got 2 daughters. One supports West Ham, the other one supports Liverpool, which is a problem. And they come down and watch the games at Brigg as well. So yeah, we're definitely a football house. But I don't know. It's always been there. I guess it's always been there.
Yeah, you usually don't remember the first time you started, because you're so deep into it. It's just part of your it's like part of your body. You never realize that you have it, but you have it. So that's I think how I can put it. Talking about West Ham, I didn't know you were a West Ham fan, so this question is coming out of curiosity. Talking about West Ham, how would you differentiate last season and this season for West Ham?
Unbelievable, just completely unbelievable. I think we came back from the first lockdown. We're in the bottom three. Antonio decides he's going to be a goal scoring machine. I think he scored, I don't know how many goals in the last 8 games, pretty much got us out of relegation. And, I thought, I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of David Moyes coming back. I went to watch Manuel Pellegrini's last home game at London Stadium against Newcastle, and we were awful, lost 3-0. And he looked like he was a man on, didn't want to be there. And then we got David Moyes, and I thought, oh God, here we go. And I thought, oh, okay, brilliant. He'll be here for another 6 months, and we'll look for somebody else. But I have to say, he's been brilliant. I'm sure he'll be most people's manager of the season, and I don't think we'll make Champions League now. I think the loss to Everton and Newcastle in recent weeks has not helped us. So I think Europa League, or even if we miss out on that, I'm not bothered. We've had a great season. It's been a good ride. It's been nice to give some of my mates who are Man United fans and Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, and all that a bit of a run for their money for once, instead of what I usually get. But if I'm honest, as long as we finish above Tottenham, I don't care where we end up.
Okay, so you don't like Tottenham, you don't like Spurs in that sense, but what are your feelings for Arsenal, I would ask?
Is that your team?
No, absolutely not. Even I don't like Arsenal.
I don't know. I think they're in a similar transition when Arsene Wenger left to what Man United were when Alex Ferguson left. I think the issue that they've got is that they have still paying for the Emirates. That's still harming them. I think they've missed out on. Champions League a couple of times, haven't they? So the revenue from that just doesn't help. Recruitment's been poor. I don't know. I like Arteta, but he's
not. I think he's not cut out for the top 6, top 7 place in the Premier League.
I think he's gone. Yeah, I think he's gone too early. And my opinion is they thought they were going to get a Pep Guardiola Mark II, and they just haven't. So it's a shame, because we're a big club, and I used to go and watch them because I'm from sort of Kent near London. So we used to go and watch Arsenal now and again with one of my friends, and it's a shame really, because they're a good club, and lots of history and stuff like that. But
absolutely,
yeah, I don't care. They're below West Ham, so I'm not bothered.
Of course, for Arsenal, when the time they had Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, so that team was something to fear, definitely. So you're following football more than what my age is, so you must know what went down at that time. So that's brilliant. We have a comment from Rohan here. Last season for Brigg wasn't that great, but this season the start was great. Sad it had to stop. So what are your feelings for this? I heard you guys were on a momentum to in a good form. So it had to stop. So how did it affect, and how did you manage the players after that?
I think the start we had was excellent to this season. Obviously, with a new management team come in, they hit the ground running, if I'm honest. The expectations we put on them were less than what they achieved. They didn't have a pre-season. So for us, we probably overperformed. I think the squad was starting to creak a little bit towards the end, which I think is a fair comment. But I do think that, it's a shame really, because I think we could have done some really good things this year, and the top 4 from our division was supposedly going to get promoted if the season was going to finish. And I think we'd have been there or thereabouts. So yeah, it was a frustrating end when it was called, but unfortunately that's outside of our control. So, but I know Marco and the team, the management team, are already thinking about pre-season, and we've got a meeting tonight to discuss that. We've got some good games planned. They've come back, done a bit of training. They're going to have a bit of a gap now, and then come back and do some more in a few weeks, ready for the next season. So I'm really excited, and I think knowing what I think the manager will be able to get in terms of players, and certainly how he operates, I think I'm excited for this season. I think fingers crossed we can be really successful.
Right, so there's one thing, like I really I'm curious about, and I do want to know. It's the mental aspect of managing the players. So if you can just uh, throw some light on it, because I know you're not the team gaffer, but you're a club director and you work in a very hands-on way. So how is it like? Like suppose there is a big defeat that you face, and there is a match where the lads played their hearts out, but somehow due to some reason they didn't like get the 3 points. So like how do you like manage the players at that time, keep them motivated, like not let them be discouraged? So how is that thing? It's a very tough thing to do, but how do you deal with that?
Look, I think sometimes you'll play games where you just think, do you know what, they were better than us, and sometimes you'll lose games where you think, you know what, we've let them win, i.e. we've lost the game. I think in your example, if you've gone out there and you've given 110% and you've done everything that the manager's asked of you in terms of objectives, then and you still lose, then sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, look, lads, there's nothing more you could have done. Your effort was great. We like that you did that. We like that you did this, etc. But ultimately, if the other team were better on the day, sometimes that is just how it is. I think probably the challenge for most managers at the moment, which is probably more prevalent, is how do you manage a team through a lockdown or multiple lockdowns? Because I think if I look at Marco, what he's done a brilliant job of keeping the guys motivated. It's very hard to get yourself up for a season, then be locked down for a month. Then you got to keep yourself fit. You can't really do anything because you're locked in. So what else do you do? Then you come back to play again. Then you get locked down again. Then it's very stop-start. So as a player, very hard to keep yourself motivated. So I think what Marcus has done particularly well is he's a good man manager. He's very he understands all his players. He communicates with his players. He's got a good management team around him. They all talk well. They listen, and I think they're just honest. They're just an honest group of management staff, and we had the same with Lee and Simon previously. And I think non-league football is very different to professional football, because professional football, certainly nowadays, the players, the youngsters coming through are coming through academies. Everything's done for them. It's they are pampered in some ways. They're put in a bubble to just concentrate on their own development and then their own careers to get further and further up the football pyramid. Our level, we've got ex-professional players. We've got players that have never played for an academy or something like that. So you can be a little bit more direct at this level, and probably say some stuff that you wouldn't say in an academy team, for example.
Yeah.
And I think what Marcus is really good at is he recruits in the right type of character. So if you look at Liverpool as an example, right, Jurgen Klopp will always recruit based on a character type, based on a role in a team, and Marcus is very similar to that. I'm not comparing him to Jurgen Klopp, but I'm say that the sort of mythology is the same. That if you get the right characters, you get a good group that can play football as well, you've got half a chance. And I think if the motivational side of it then is not as important as if you've got a bad group of players who can't play football, that's when you've really got to dig into their psyche and work a lot harder.
All right. So you have to be a great man manager in order to like manage players like them. Not only have to be good at like the tactics and other things, other aspects of the game, which are like very complicated at some times. But then you have to be a man manager. You have to understand which player is like, which character is going to respond to particular these words, and which character is going to react differently to those particular
Yeah,
words. So,
yeah,
so
yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody reacts to different things. So, some players like an arm around them, some prefer, being shouted at directly. That motivates them. I've seen players that have been shouted at in the changing room before, not at Brigg, but when I was playing, and they've just crumbled. So, and that's just the manager not understanding that individual. So I think you got to get to know your players first, individually, like personally, understand them, know what they're about. And then obviously then you can sort of choose your approach.
absolutely. Uh, so before we finish, I would like to ask one thing that I'm also a really big fan of, which is the screenings. Like when the community comes together to watch a match on television. Maybe you're watching Premier League on TV with a projector and stuff, drinking beer, like or whatever, uh, like drinks that you have there. How is it like? Like how's the banter like? How's the environment when that happens? And of course, when your team loses or when your team wins, like what is the feeling and what goes through you at that time?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we get a lot of Man United supporters in, so yeah, that's always rowdy. Obviously, Leeds have been promoted to the Premier League this year, so where we live geographically, there's a lot of Leeds fans around here. They've been very vocal this year, although I'm not sure why. I'm probably one of very few people in Brigg that support West Ham, so obviously I've had a bit of banter as well. So it's good. It's good, healthy banter, and yeah, it's like anywhere in the world, isn't it? If you've got a bit of rivalry, friendly rivalry, then it spices it up. But obviously, we've got the Euros
Yes.
in a month or so, haven't we? So that'll be brilliant. I think England play on the 22nd of June, and we've got the restrictions lift here on the 21st. So, the football club will be rammed. And when England play, it's such a good atmosphere. It's literally rammed in. And yeah, it's good as long as we win. So, yeah, no, it's brilliant. And that's the thing, really, is that we've not just got the football stadium, if you like, we've got the bar area, and we've invested a lot of money in the outside area. So we've got the biggest sort of beer garden in Brigg now, and got screens outside as well, which has been brilliant during the COVID, since we've just come back, because we can only serve, hospitality venues can only serve outside at the moment in the UK. So that's helped. Not that we'll be that busy because of the weather, but ultimately, yeah, we've created that outdoor area, which has added to the atmosphere. So yeah, it gets pretty rowdy on a match day, whether that be Brigg at home or Man United on or West Ham on or whatever it is.
Oh, absolutely. It's good when a football match, when a screening get together is like a rowdy thing. Before we finish, last question. What are your thoughts on England's performance in this coming Euro next month? They have got a good team with Sancho, Rashford.
Who knows?
Good team.
Who knows? I think I am very confident about the top 3/4 of the pitch. I worry about defence. I worry about us at the centre of defence. I think if you run at us, we'll struggle. I don't know what he's going to do goalkeeper wise. I think Jordan Pickford for me gets us playing 20, 25 yards further up the pitch because of his distribution. But actually, I'd probably rather have Nick Pope in goal because he just fills the part for me.
Yes.
How are we going to do? I have no idea. I'm an England supporter, so I never know. My expectation is that we'll go win it. The reality is that we might be lucky to get out the group stage. You never know with England, but I do know that Gareth Southgate's got a lot of flair this year. Even Lingard coming back into the fold, being so good for us at West Ham, and yeah,
Lingard has been great like this season. He's been amazing.
well, he's at a good club now, so yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I'm honest with you, the best thing for me really is just just getting the Euros on. Whatever happens, I'm fairly relaxed about it. I think for me, this summer's going to be all about a good pre-season for Brigg and England. Hopefully, going deep into the tournament. So if we can get get that away, then I'll be really happy.
All right, that's a good way to put it. And coach, it's been it's been like 40 minutes now. As I promised, you gave me 10 minutes more. Thank you for that. I know you're a busy man. Uh,
That's fine.
so it has been a privilege to have you on this show and getting to know about your club, things from Wikipedia, from the internet, and finally getting to talk to you and really to get to know the ins and outs of the club. It has been an honor for me. And so I would like to thank you, and from my behalf and from behalf of my team too, for being here.
No, thank you, and thanks for getting us on. And yeah, if you ever get the opportunity to come to the UK, give us a shout, and we'll get you to a game. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. And on that note, I think we should wrap up now. And hopefully, I'll be there someday. I really want to. So thank you, sir. And I hope we'll have you again on the show pretty soon.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for having me.